بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. The Lahore Ahmadiyya movement welcomes you to its broadcasts. This is Reflections on the Holy Quran, 304, Part 1, and it is being broadcast on Tuesday, the 26th of April, 2022. Just to remind you that the Lahore Ahmadiyya movement was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, and his teaching was that although Muslims say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad another prophet will come, the Holy Quran says that the Holy Prophet is Khatmun Nabiyyin, and the Holy Prophet Sallam explained it by saying La Nabiya Ba'di. So now no prophet can come, whether it is an old prophet or a new one. And his teaching was that in accordance with Hadith, he was the Mujaddid who was to appear in the 14th century of Hijrah, and for whom the Holy Prophet ﷺ used the titles Messiah and Mahdi. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib also taught that although their Muslim brothers are very keen and hasty in calling each other kafir, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima, you are a heretic, you are a kafir, then it is the caller who is the heretic or kafir. So we should avoid this kind of behavior and label making. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib also taught that although people say that some prophetic revelation has been left out of the Holy Quran, this is not true, because God said that He has revealed the Holy Quran and He will protect it. So if the Holy Quran, if the prophetic revelation that the Holy Prophet Muhammad received from Allah is under Allah's protection, then how can anything in it be cancelled or missed out? And Hazrat Sahib stressed that jihad is a fundamental duty of every Muslim. But jihad is defined by the Holy Prophet Muhammad and not as defined by different schools of thought. When returning from fighting, the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that Muslims are returning from the lesser jihad, Jihad Asghar, to the greater jihad, Jihad Akbar, and then explained that the greater jihad is jihad bin nafs, to struggle with your own internal desires and overcome them. That is the real jihad. So with that, let us turn to the Holy Quran. Oh, actually, I haven't marked my space again, but never mind. Chapter 2, verse 99. 97 and 99. وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ وَمَا يَكْفُرُ بِهَا إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ. And we indeed have revealed to you clear messages, and none disbelieves in them except the transgressors. So today we will deal with وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا. These three or two words. So let us turn to my notes. Well, let me turn to my notes. Where are we? Oh, I can see them. وَلَقَدْ. Wa means and it's a connecting word. La is used for emphasis. The prefix lam is used for that. Actually, I forgot one thing. I'll mention it now. I'll mention it when I get to the next word. So, and this emphasis, and of course, whatever you are, emphasize. So, most certainly, indeed, there is certainty there. There's no doubt. And even certainty is being emphasized, that this is true. And the next word is anzalna. So let us look at that. Oh, I didn't miss it because I was doing two words. That's why I didn't mention it. Okay. Anzalna, its root is noon, zay, lam. That is the three letters. And in the Holy Quran, you find that this root has been used, these three characters have been used to make 12 different words. And in all, they occur in the Holy Quran 293 times. Mostly as 183 times as anzala. And then 62 times as nazzala. And what else is there? 15 times as tanzeel. Tanzeel. And then fewer times than that, 8 times as nuzul, and 7 times as tanazzalat, and 6 times as nazala, and then fewer times than that. So let us see what it means. If I can find the right place in my notes, should be here somewhere. Maybe it's the next page. Yes, it is. Okay. So literally it means nazool. It means that from a higher place you come down to a lower place. From a higher plane you come down to a lower plane. So in Arabic they say nazala an dabbatihi. He descended, he came down from his ride. I guess in the days of old it was, horses and camels and so on. These days you will say aeroplane or car or whatever it is. But that use is not restricted to it. And I'm surprised that, people who know and speak and read Arabic, Urdu, they don't appreciate this. Nazala fi makanin kaza. Literally, where have you descended? Nazala. In which place, in which house have you descended? Now, that traveler, that guest, he hasn't come down from heavens to stay in that house. Where are you staying? But if you're going to literally take that, nazala, where have you descended? And this is the mistake that commonly leads Muslims into misunderstanding various verses of the Holy Quran. For example, the Holy Quran says to descend, anzilni munzalam mubarakam wa anta khairul munzilin. Chapter 23, verse 29. Make our descent in a blessed place, because you're the best of the descenders. Anzilni, make our descent. Khairul munzili, the best descender. It is a prayer that God may take you or give you a nice, pleasant place in this world or in the hereafter. And if you think about it, the same word is used for many different things. And the Holy Quran talks about their descension. About itself, the Holy Quran talks about the Quran being descended from heavens. Or other things that we make or that God has created and we use. God talks about them as having been descended from heavens. Iron, clothing, many other things. The Holy Quran, as I said, chapter 18, verse 1, Alhamdulillahillazi anzala ala abdihil kitab. Glory be to Allah, Alhamdulillah. He is the one who made the book descend. Kitab, book, descend upon his servant. That's the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the point is this: did a printed book like this that I'm holding in my hand descend upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad? No, it didn't. Although the word is used, you have to use your common sense to see what it means. Chapter 2, verse 17. It says, the book with the truth descended. He is the one who made descend the book with the truth. Chapter 57, verse 25. وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدَ. And he made iron descend. But I mean, if I'm going out, my wife doesn't say to me, put on a hard hat or a crash helmet. Iron is descending from heavens and it might hit you on the head and crack your skull. Protect yourself. Because we know that although here it says, وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدَ, that iron descended from heaven, we actually dig it up from the ground. So here it means to bestow something, to give something. In chapter 57, again, same verse. وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. And he made descend on them books and a balance for weighing things. Mizan. Now we know that these things don't descend from heavens. What it means is that God revealed the book and the rules which would allow humanity to be just to each other and live together in that way. Similarly, chapter 39, verse 6. وَأَنزَلَ لَكُم مِّنَ الْأَنْعَامِ ثَمَانِيَّةَ أَزْوَاجٍ. And he made descend in the four-legged things 8 pairs. Now these things haven't descended from heaven. He created. أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً طَهُورًا. Chapter 25, verse 28. And clean water descends from heavens, rainfall. Chapter 7, verse 26. قَدْ أَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ لِبَاسًا يُوَارِي سَوْآتِكُمْ. And we made descend clothing for you to cover yourself. Now, suits and salwar kameez and saris and whatever else it is, they don't descend from heaven. We work and we buy them. We work and we pay a tailor to stitch these things for us. So, but this verse, God means that he gave you the understanding that these things are needed and the means. Similarly, أنزل علينا مائدة من السماء. Chapter 5, verse 114. And like a prayer, make descend from heaven's food for us. Now here, it's not just descending, anzila. But also At the end it says, Minas Sama. O Allah, make descend from skies, from heavens. But we know when we say that, we don't mean that plates of biryani and roast chicken and steaks should descend from heavens. Grant, what it means is, grant us the resources that we can buy these things. And then, inna munziluna ala ahli hazihil qaryati rijzam minas sama'i bima kanu yafsukun. Chapter 29, verse 34. And when the people of a town, they become evil, behave badly, then punishment descends on them from on high, from the heavens. Inna munziluna, descends. Minas samai, from heavens. But we know that these things, what happens is that, when Halaku Khan and Genghis Khan attacked Baghdad and other cities and killed millions and razed the cities to the ground and so on, those guys, they didn't descend from heavens. They were from this earth. But because Muslims had gone astray, that was what happened to Muslims. Now, there are two words. One is tanzil, one is inzalun. And inzal is when something comes down only once. The whole of something comes down once. And tanzil means, and nazala and so on comes from that, is that it comes down piecemeal. So this is why. Nazala bihi ruhul amin, chapter 26, verse 193. That ruhul amin, Gabriel, descended with it, but continued to come with various parts. But chapter 17, verse 31, nazzalnahu tanzila, and we revealed it gradually. So here it's tanzil, saying that Quran wasn't sent down in one go, but in chapters and verses as the need arose. And the Holy Quran supports this argument in chapter 25, verse 23, when it mentions an objection by non-Muslims who say, Laula nuzila alayhi hazil Quran. So why didn't he just reveal the whole of this, the Quran, in one go? Why chapter by chapter? Why verse by verse? So you can see that the objectors themselves have used this word in this way to mean all in one go, once. So we have chapter 24, verse 2. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatin mubarakah. We revealed it in the blessed night. And again, Shahru Ramadan allazi unzila fihi al-Quran, chapter 2, verse 185. And that is that Ramadan is the month in which Quran was first revealed. But then chapter 97, verse 1, it says, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr, that we started revealing the Holy Quran in Laylatul Qadr. And people have tried to come up with ingenious arguments to say, well, what does it mean that it says Quran was revealed only once, and then Quran was revealed piecemeal? And lots of people have theories like, the Holy Quran was revealed once, but then uh, but not, it didn't come down on the ground. A bit like the communication satellites we have. It sort of went into orbit around the Earth, and then it was brought down to Earth from that orbit as it was required. So that is an explanation. I don't agree with that. I believe that when God talks about revealing the Holy Quran all in one go, and that was that in heavens, what was God's mind as guidance, that was decided in one go. That also refutes the theory of abrogation, that verses were revealed and then other verses were revealed which were better and so on. I mean, I always find this puzzling, that why would God need to reveal something and then cancel it and then say, well, I've cancelled it because I'm revealing something better. Why not reveal something better in the first place? So, by saying it was, by using the word which seemed to imply that it was revealed all at once, and that was that, the whole of this guidance was what God had decided at once. God didn't decide piecemeal. But then, through Hazrat Jibreel, he sent it down to human beings piecemeal, because they wouldn't have been able to cope if they'd been told, given the whole thing all in one go. Now, another thing that we must remember and appreciate is this, that the word tanzeel, or revelation, revealing, used for the Holy Quran, that means that the Holy Prophet's wahi, his revelation, wasn't his own doing, so to speak. It wasn't that the Holy Prophet thought of something by reflection and so on and then told people. It was something external. Hazrat Jibreel, an angel, brought it down. So because it was external, then that means it wasn't man-made. Someone else made it and then gave it to the Holy Prophet Muhammad. If these were Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said these things, based on his thinking, then, this is not divine, and this is human. And that's the point that we need to remember. But an important aspect of this is that a recipient of wahi cannot, through his own efforts, attain to the station where he can receive revelation. I mean, A kid sees a doctor and says, God, that's wonderful. I want to be a doctor. And if I, work hard and learn anatomy and, whatever else, chemistry and so on, then I'm sure one day I'll become a doctor. I'll have the skill, I'll have the knowledge. But God's guidance is not like that. You can't attain it through your own efforts. It's up to God. And he has said, and he chose the Holy Prophet Muhammad, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad was the last person to receive prophetic revelation. Now, does that mean that God no longer talks to people? If it does, then, if I pray, then he's not going to tell me whether he's going to hear my prayer or not. To give you another example, if the door to a room is locked, or you go to someone's house and you ring the bell and no one answers, what do you say? Oh, I don't think there's anyone home. So if you're calling on God and he's not answering, then either he's not home or he doesn't exist. So the wahi, that is the guidance like the Holy Quran, wahi and nabuwat, prophetic revelation, which has commands, that is a separate thing. But God continues to speak to people, to reveal to them things. I mean, the obvious example is death of Jesus. At Hazrat Saab's time, there was one group of scholars, great scholars, like Sayyid Ahmad Khan and so on, who said Jesus is dead. The people said, why? They said, well, science tells us that no one can live this long without eating or drinking or so on. And there were other great scholars who said, no, Jesus is alive and up in heavens. God can do whatever he wants. There's one set of scholars saying one thing, another set of scholars saying another thing. So who do we believe? And that is where non-prophetic revelation comes in, which is not a command, but it is still knowledge from God. Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, God told him Jesus has died. And then he checked it from the Holy Quran. And he was astounded to find that in the Holy Quran, at least from 30 verses of the Holy Quran, you could argue that Jesus has died. Not one place, 30 places. So he said, Jesus has passed away. And people said, why? And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Rahmatullahi Alayhi did not say because science says Jesus is dead. He said Jesus has died because the Holy Quran says Jesus has died. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad's argument was that God can do anything and everything. If he wants to keep Jesus alive for 2,000 years without eating or drinking, he has the power to do that because God created Jesus and so on. And God created science. If you're saying that God can't do something because science is against it, then you're saying that God is bound by science as well. So science is mightier than God. God may say himself that I've made these laws and I'm not going to violate them. That is, something different. The American Congress, Senate passed a law, drive on this side of the road. And everyone, from president downwards, drive on that side of the road. But when they come to the UK, they're told drive on the opposite side of the road. And they drive on the opposite side of the road. because the government tells them, and they can't go against that. But God is above any restriction. He can do whatever he wants. And that is the difference between Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad saying that Jesus has died and other people saying Jesus has died. They said Jesus has died because science tells us that no one can live for this long. They're containing God in science. And of course, there is one more source of knowledge, or a second source of knowledge, and that is that knowledge that humans can attain through their own efforts. And human beings have been doing this for a very long time. If you go to Istanbul and you go to Galata Tower, you'll see a plaque there which explains how many people went up the Galata Tower and they had glued wings to their arms and so on, and they tried to emulate birds by jumping off the tower and trying to fly. Sadly, none of them succeeded. Most of them used this because it's by the sea, I guess, and they thought if we don't succeed, at least we'll fall into water and be safe. But then Wright brothers discovered the principles, scientific principles, and they had the engineering ingenuity to make a machine that flew and allowed them to fly. So that was done by human effort. Now we know that I think NASA landed a robot, a rover, and I think, was it Mars? And it had packed like an umbrella, but it was packed, which had solar cells, and that needed to be opened and spread before it could start generating electricity and the rover could move and do its experiments and so on. And NASA managed to do it from Earth. They pressed a button and the solar cells came out and spread themselves. Now, this is all through human effort. The point is that human effort can achieve great things. And it is only those things that humans could not for themselves discover that God sent guidance. And that's the point. There is this still this argument, where in the West you can only have one wife. In the East, in many countries, you can have more than one wife. Now, if God hadn't sanctioned the conditions under which you can have more than one wife, who would decide who's right? West or East? Take another example. There were used to be tribes in Africa who thought white people were a great delicacy. And if you find one, you kill him and you cook him and eat him. Now, that is a criminal offense and has been a criminal offense for centuries. But who is to decide who is right? The people who were killing and cooking the Christian missionaries, or the West that says, no, you can't kill another human being and cook them and eat them. And God is deciding. And that's it. With that, I take my leave of you. I think I've gone well over time today for some reason. I didn't notice the time. And I apologize for that. So with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, and goodbye.